incredibly talented, unbelievably talented, but, Texas, Ohio, they bring in these guys that believe they're going to the NBA, even though, I don't know, 4% of them will. But they bring in one-and-dones, transfers, you mishmash, and, Dana Altman was really good at kind of figuring out how to get them playing well by the end of the season. But you would see a team like Kentucky, and they're full of guys that are, if they're not going to the NBA, they're very close, probably G League. And then they'll go up against a team you think about how we all learned about C.J. McCollum before he got drafted to the Blazers. It was because his Lehigh team took down Duke. And it was
I think Coach K still has some nightmares about little CJ.
I think so. Because Duke was full of guys going to the NBA. And remember, Duke started bringing in one-and-done type players. And Lehigh was like, yeah, these guys have been playing together for 3 years. These guys have got 30-some wins. They know what the other guy is thinking. And I thought about that watching Colorado, because Colorado, nobody has embraced the transfer portal more than Colorado. Deion Sanders has been incredibly vocal. We were in the middle of the season last year. It's like, hey, how do you get your offensive line better? You just got to get new linemen. And it's like, all right, that may work at the waiver wire in the NFL when everybody's a pro. It's a little bit different when you're working with 19-year-olds. But no one has embraced the transfer portal as much as Colorado. And on paper, when you look at a team that does have Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, who I believe are both going to be playing in the NFL next year, and you've got guys that faster, bigger. On paper, Colorado should not have been in a ball game with North Dakota State. But North Dakota State, those guys all play together. Those guys know what the other is thinking. Those guys have chemistry. And I do think, to a certain degree, team chemistry is a bit overrated, but it's not nothing. And I wonder, when we look out in the college football landscape this season, as we are now on the precipice, Week 1 has started. It started last night, but boy, Saturday, it really gets going. We're going to have college game day. We're going to have big noon kickoff. We're going to have early games. We're going to have tailgating. We're going to have all of it. If you are like Brendan and I, you are going to be at the stadium. If you are like a handful of you, you're going to be on your couch watching games. And usually, the way to kind of find upsets in college football is you look for trap games, right? This team's coming off a big emotional win. This team is maybe going on the road for the first time. You look for those traps throughout the season, and that's how the upsets happen. You look for matchups. It's one thing that we don't talk about a ton. It's like, this team, very highly rated, but they do not stop the run all that well. This team runs the ball well. That's a bad matchup. You look at my favorite thing to do, ratings versus spread. If you look at a team that is rated in the top 25, and they are facing a team that is unrated, that is unranked, and the unranked team is favored in Vegas, as Lee Corso said, somebody knows something I don't know. Those are the things I always look for. Here's going to be the new one. Transfer teams versus teams that have been playing together for a while. Now, there is the Clemson of this all, and we talked about this yesterday. Is Dabo Swinney missing such a big opportunity by digging in his heels, going like, we're not doing transfers. We ain't doing it. I believe there are 4 teams that have less than 5 transfers. One is Clemson. Brendan, can you name the other? There's 4 teams, I believe, that has less than 5 or close to 0 transfers. One is Clemson. There are 3 others.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Army, Navy, Air Force. Because you don't transfer into West Point.
I can't just go to West Point?
No. Turns out Turns out they're pretty selective.
Well, and it also
Same
turns
thing
out
in
just,
Annapolis and the same thing in Colorado Springs. They're a little selective.
I mean, there's obviously better, but Justin, like, I was thinking about this the other day, randomly, as you mentioned the service academies, like, all three of them, like, yes. And then how about, like, is there a better college that, say you're not going pro, right? Like, you're a good college player, but not going pro. Is there a better gig than getting out of college? Be like, yeah, I got a guaranteed job for the Army, Navy, or Air Force.
But it's a forced job, though.
That's true.
You don't
It's
have
a good point.
You don't have a choice. You might be
point.
going to some place you don't want to go. They tell you where to go. I think it's like 7 years.
Like,
I could be wrong. If there's anybody listening who's military, who knows?
Can I request to be stateside?
I don't. I think you can request all you want.
They might laugh at my request. But yeah, good. That makes sense. I mean, like you said, so.
So it's the 3 service academies because, they don't take transfers because they're not worried. Like, it'd be nice to win some football games, and Army Navy is an epic game every single year, but they're worried about other things.
Yeah, I had heard
in terms of getting a good left tackle.
Yeah, I had heard that for Army and Navy. I'm curious, do they have the numbers in front of you, or just
no?
Yeah, because
I think I just heard it I saw it on the internet.
Yeah,
I could be pulling it right out of my backside, but I don't think I am.
I totally believe it but I was just found it interesting because when doing some prep for Air Force this year, one of Oregon State's opponents, they said that compared to the other service academies, there's less of a burden of admission.
I think so
to get into Air Force,
but I still don't think they have a lot of transfers going in.
Yeah.
I don't think they're out there on the portal looking for a wide receiver.
But you need.
Could you imagine you're a wide receiver at let's just say Cal, right? You're a wide receiver at Cal. You're in Wilcox's doghouse, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to the portal. It's like, all right, where do you want to go? And you're probably looking at Mountain West schools, I don't know, maybe San Diego, maybe UNLV. Air Force, guaranteed 7-year service after graduation. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going there. Even though they might have a little bit lax, it's a tough portal sell.
It's true. I was just looking it up, Justin. So Army, I said,
how are you in flying a big plane?
So as it turns out, Navy is the highest. You are probably not going to be seriously considered by them if your GPA isn't 3.5 coming out of high school.
Boom.
I'm not saying that's impossible, but Justin, that whittles down, 80, 70, well, I want to say, let's just say a big portion.
Big chunk.
I don't want to put a percentage on it, but your boy didn't even have a 3.5 in high school.
Pretty sure I had a 3.6. I got a 3.6
in college, but not high school.
I did not. I did not have anything above a 3 ever in college. It was bad.
You didn't have the cool cords around your neck when you walked at graduation, Justin?
No.
Point of pride for me, baby.
No.
You talked about points of pride earlier. I'm like, that was point of pride for me, man.
No. Don't take my path in college, kids. Don't go to parties on Tuesdays.
You had a good time, though.
I did have a good time. Got fat. Wasted a lot of money. Changed my major 3 times. Transferred a lot. It's bad. It's a bad idea. Don't go on my path. If any kids are listening at 6:30 in the morning, probably not. But best of luck in school this year, kids. But all right, back to what I was talking about. I see a team like Oregon. I see a team like Texas. I see a team like Ohio State, which Ohio State and Oregon both have transfer quarterbacks. Oregon had a transfer quarterback the last 2 years. When I'm talking about kind of leaning on the transfer portal, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Colorado, who essentially at the end of a 4-8 season said, other than quarterback, wide receiver that I think is that I treat like a son, my quarterback that is a son, my safety who is my son, and anybody else that I've deemed family. The rest of you, kick rocks, get out. And then another good chunk of them were like, this is a bit of a mess. I'm leaving on my own as well. Ole Miss, I'm going to be interested to see how they do this year because you look at Lane Kiffin. He has relied a ton on the transfer portal. And I do think, and maybe I'm homer alert, I do think there is a balance, right? Where you do high school recruiting, you do develop talent, but also you fill holes with available transfers. If you're Oregon, if you're Ohio State, if you're Texas, if you're Michigan, you can go out and get those guys. But I'm wondering if we're going to see a game where you're like, man, this outcome doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, yeah. They're a team full of transfers. They don't trust each other. They haven't played together an awful lot. They're still kids. That kind of stuff matters. Because you might be saying, well, Justin, the NFL, they swap out players all the time. Yeah, those guys are pros. Different world. It's a completely different world. Those guys are pros. College, you need to feel the love. You need to have trust in your teammates. I've seen really good teams, talented teams, go 7-5 because they couldn't trust each other. I've seen it. I've also seen teams that are not as talented, but they've played together for a long time. It was the Mike Riley method. Brendan, you saw it how many years where a team, they'd take their lumps and go 5-7, 4-8, and 3 years later, they're good. And it's because, yeah, this is the cycle that we're on. We're going to play together. We're going to take our lumps for a season. We'll get a little bit better next year. And, in a 3-year plan, good Lord willing, we get a quarterback, we're going to have a shot. And Mike Riley did that for years and years and years. I wonder if we see some teams out there that are like not completely solely leaning on the transfer portal, but are like, no, we're going to develop our guys. Our guys are going to play together for a handful of years. And the reason this popped into my head is just you watched North Dakota State last night, and they are not as talented as Colorado. Colorado has talented players. But they seem to be all on the same page. They seem to go in with a specific game plan. They just ran out of time. Whereas Colorado, when push came to shove, when it came right down to it, now to their credit, Colorado's going to score a lot of points this year. They're going to put up a lot of yards. They are going to be the video game team in the Big 12. But you go up against a team like Utah. I mean, we joke about it. The Cam Rising has been, but Utah's not a team that replaces an entire offensive line in the transfer portal. No, they bring in guys. They develop their guys. There's a certain standard that Utah has. And they punch you in the mouth. The teams with the transfer portal are going to have a ton of talent. I'm very curious if we see a couple of them, though, fall. I think, wasn't that the case with Texas A&M? Texas A&M went out, transfer portaled, NIL'd the number one recruiting class because they do cumulative now. Brendan does recruiting more than I do, but there's cumulative ratings now, right? Where there's a high school rating for a class, there's a transfer portal rating, and then there's a roster rating essentially. According to all the ratings, Texas A&M, they had the best roster in college football. Yeah, then none of them played together. They were all bought and paid for, and guess what? They didn't trust each other. They got smacked in the mouth a little bit, and Jimbo got $74 million to go away. Unbelievable. $74 million. So I don't know. It's just a thought I had. It's like you watch some of these games, maybe especially early on, of teams that are in the transfer world and going up against what would normally be, I don't want to say paycheck games, but would normally be cruise control victories. I bet you're going to see some teams in a dogfight because, well, you're still team building. And while you're more talented, there's going to be some teams from the Mountain West, from the American, from the MAC, who are just like, yeah, we've been playing together for 3 years. We know exactly what we're doing. We know exactly what the game plan is. We're not going to panic when things start going wrong because we know each other and we can trust each other. That being said, I do not see any worry for the Ducks and the Beavs this weekend. Brendan, is there a line on the Beavs game? I thought I saw
28.5.
28.5 for the Idaho State Bengals. What's your priority list for Oregon State? What are you looking forward most to seeing from a team that is as essential. This is as new of a Beaver team as you can probably ever remember, right? Transfer portal kind of gutted you. New coaching staff.
I mean,
new
graduations, too, for that matter. I mean, Oregon State was just a very senior-laden team last year. So, like, yeah, there's, like, 4 holdovers? Like, 2 on offense, 2 or 3 on defense? Don't have it in front of me, just guessing. But, yeah, I want to see Trent Bray as a head coach. Like, so it's like, the team will be the team. Trent Bray is a coach and Gundy is a coordinator. And I say Bray is a coach because, every coach has first-year mess ups. Whether
you're right.
Calling a timeout at the wrong time, or again, ask Dan Lanning about some of the issues in year 1, and he's a really good coach. So even really good coaches struggle in year 1 with some of the little things like, do you punt here? Do you go for it? Do you kick the field goal? Do you blitz? So all these different things. So that, and what's Oregon State going to look like running a spread offense? Because we really haven't seen that.
Never. I'm trying to think.
Gary had a brief moment.
Did he?
Brief moment. But again, they were so terrible. It didn't matter. It didn't matter, Justin. But yeah, like a mobile quarterback at Oregon State, that's still something that is not super common, right? I mean, you look back historically, Justin, there haven't been that many Oregon State quarterbacks where you're like, hey, go scramble and get 20, 30 yards. I mean.
All right, so let's do this. This will be fun for the next 2 minutes. Post triple option before you were born.
Tim Alexander, baby.
Timmy Alexander. And then Mike Riley came in, and Timmy Alexander became a receiver real fast.
So funny. Wait, you played quarterback? Yeah, not in my offense.
Yeah, not anymore. You are a receiver. Who's been the most mobile Oregon State quarterback?
Seth Collins, without question. He was only quarterback for 1 year.
Okay.
But without question, that dude was so fast. He was Gary's first quarterback, 2015. Came back, played receiver against Oregon in the CW.
There you go.
So
it happens a couple times.
Something with Oregon State there. But yeah, that dude could run he couldn't throw, but he could run like nobody's business.
Because it went like from the let's just say like 99, the Beavs made a bowl game, right? It was a very big deal. So you go Jonathan Smith to Derek Anderson to Matt Moore to who was after Moore? Is that Luton?
Canfield.
Canfield.
To Moyval, back to Canfield.
Oh.
Boom, boom, hippity hop. A year of Ryan Katz.
There you go.
4 years of Sean Mannion and a little Cody Vaz sprinkled in there. And
can't forget about Cody Vaz. Didn't know we'd drop a Cody Vaz.
Yep, he had a moment, man.
He did have a moment.
Then, oh boy, we're getting into let's see. So
where's Luton?
We got to get through the Gary quarterbacks first. Like the first.
Why do I think
we're getting?
I get so mixed up. Like I think like
Jake's still in practice squads, Justin. He's still living his dream in the NFL.
He
man.
is.
But no, you went Nick Mitchell to Marcus McMarion to Seth Collins to then Jake Luton to then Jack Coletto for a minute to then Tristan.
Coletto's probably the most mobile of all of them.
Yeah. Then Tristan Gebbia.
You're right.
Chance Nolan?
I guess DJU last year, but he was adamant. He was adamant that I'm not a running quarterback. I am a pro quarterback. That's why I came here. It's a whole new world when your quarterback can run. Can I tell you something? It's really fun. It's really fun.
It's true.
Just spread it out and like nobody's open. Guy just runs.
Florida State probably would have liked for him to run a little bit this weekend.
It's so awesome. It's going to be interesting to see how you guys handle it. We're like, well, I didn't even know. Did you ever see that movie Semi-Pro? With Will Ferrell when they created the alley-oop, and they're like, I didn't know you could do that. It's like running quarterback in Corvallis. Like, we could be doing this the whole time?
That's got to be illegal.
No, you can run. It's awesome. All right. Somebody screwed up last night. Somebody really screwed up last night. There is somebody that had a job, literally one job to do on the college football stage last night, and I don't know if they're in charge of it anymore. We'll talk about that as we wrap up hour number 1 next, 620 Rip City Radio. Guys, gather round. Take a knee. Take a knee. Helmet's not a chair. Let's bring it in here. We did it. We did it. We started back in the triple digits back in the spring. We started doing this segment. We started doing our countdown to kickoff. It started at 100-some, and we had to, double check it a couple of different times to make sure we had the right number in there to where I actually plugged in an app in my phone that is counting down to the 4:30 kickoff at Autzen Stadium, but we did it. It is now down to 1. Today is that day. 1 is the number. Congratulations. We made it. We made it through the from the cold winter to the even colder and rainier spring to the summer months that are still fun, but still always kind of keeping an eye out on what is on the horizon. Well, it is here. It is on the horizon. We made it. It is 1. It is 1 day away from college football. In 24 hours from now, I will be up very early watching College Game Day, getting ready to take a quick 2-hour trip because I'm going to leave early to miss the traffic down to Eugene. I'm going to be at Autzen Stadium. Brendan's going to be at Reeser Stadium, and we have got a whole slate of college football ahead of us from now until January of 2025. What a glorious time. We did it. We did it, everybody. Congratulations. All right, now that we have got that out of the way, now that our countdown is set, it is now down to 1. We shall be talking about games and storylines, news and notes, as I like to say. Sometimes really funny stories, which is, I don't know if this is a funny story or not. It's funny to me because it's not me. But before we do all of that, let's get some fun music as it's time to go on campus. All right, so Colorado was in a dogfight with North Dakota State last night. Utah put up 49 points, including 5 touchdowns from Cam Rising in a whooping of Southern Utah. But the game of the night actually was in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as the Golden Gophers and the North Carolina Tar Heels, 2 Power 5 programs in Week 1 on a Thursday night, came right down to the wire. Game of the night. North Carolina suffers a devastating injury. I believe, their starting quarterback was carted off. That's never good. The cart is the worst feeling in the world when it's your team, even if it's your opponent, because I hate injuries. You only get so much time in your life to be able to play football. Boy, when you see the cart coming out. So, in an emotional fumbles, turnovers, it looked like Minnesota was going to fumble the game away, only to have a perfect bounce into their receiver. And they get back within 2 points. North Carolina drives down. They kick the field goal. It's a 1-point game. Minnesota's got the ball. They're in field goal range. It's a 47-yarder. It's not easy. And college kickers, especially early, cannot be depended on. They line up. North Carolina ices the kicker. Poor guy's just standing out there by himself. And I'm sure that's probably his choice, his process. I've never been a kicker. I don't know what I would do if they tried to be icing me, but I think I'd be in the huddle. But he's not. This guy's out there. He's practicing. He's a left footer, too. He's practicing. Lines up, snap, hold, kick to win the game. Oh, it's wide right. Well, sometimes that angle up there in the press box can throw you for a loop, which is why you got to watch the officials, because the officials will tell you. Because apparently the angle was so bad that the guy running the fireworks at Minnesota thought it went in. Hits the button. Celebration fireworks go off. You just lost. Now, they were cut off very fast, but the internet will not let it go. Yeah, I don't know if he's got a job today. I don't know if he's been reassigned.
He woke up unemployed.
And I don't call for people's jobs on this show. That is not my job. As a person that's been fired twice, it sucks. It's the worst. But
happens to everybody, though.
That being said, when you literally have one job, usually there's other circumstances. Like, no, you have literally one job. It is Gophers win, hit the button. Gophers lose, do nothing. That's got to be tough, though. Week 1, Thursday night, opening weekend, and all of a sudden it's would have really liked maybe a 10-point win. Clock goes off. Then he could have hit the celebration fireworks. No. Ball goes up, wide right. No. Oops. Misses. Fireworks go off. It's tough. It's a tough one. All right. Coming up on the big show, we still got a minute left to go, but I saw the clock. I know I'm not having a complete meltdown, but I do want to talk in the next hour about Brandon Ayuk. What was this all about? Was this an attention grab? Was this everybody keeps drafting Christian McCaffrey first in their fantasy leagues, and I need some love? Was this solely just about money? Was there ever anything on the table?
This is the NFL. This is why the NFL is not the NBA. Because when you look and you saw, he accepted the offer that had been on the table since August 12th. So
it is what I love about the NFL, truly.
The
I
day
know we're
after
doing
you
college
say-
football right now, but it's what I love about the NFL is that you can go through all this, and then at the end of the day, it's like, we signed the deal. We're good? Yep. Don't worry about feelings. Nobody's worried about feelings hurt. No, sign the deal, shake hands. It is literally not show friends, it's show business. And it's a culture in the NFL that I do love that does not exist in the NBA, because NBA is a feelings-based league and the NFL is a performance-based league. So we're going to talk about that. Speaking of contracts, though, Steph Curry got himself a big giant deal. We've also got some more stuff we saw on the internet. And you think we're done talking about college football on the big show? No. Cam Mellor is going to be joining us. We'll get his thoughts heading into the season. Who's a paper tiger? Who's a wolf in sheep's clothing? Or a wolf in sheep's clothing? What are going to be the September storylines? How long is Colorado going to hang around in our lives? Because they're leading Get Up right now on ESPN. We have got a jam-packed 2 hours left. Hour 2 next, 620, Rip City Radio.
7 a.m. on a Friday. Brandon Ayuk will be staying in San Francisco and after agreeing to a 4-year, $120 million extension that makes him one of the highest paid receivers after not showing up to team activities the last 2 days. Ayuk takes the deal that had been on the table since August 12th. Colorado holds off North Dakota State 31-26 as Shedeur Sanders throws for nearly 500 yards. And elsewhere in college football, Cam Rising made his long-awaited return to Utah, throwing for 5 scores en route to a 49-0 win over Southern Utah. Coming up on the big show, we got Make or Miss in Hour 2, Cam Mellor in Hour 3. You got Rip City Mornings.
And welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. We are on the eve of college football's first official weekend. We had a handful of games last night. Pyro guy in Minnesota, I think, has some splaining to do. And with all the change that is going on in the college football world, Colorado's still Colorado. A couple of interesting things I thought I saw last night in the Colorado-North Dakota State game. And this has nothing to do with either of the teams, but I'm wondering, for a long, long time in our sport, while they always said like the NFL stood for either A, not for long, or B, the no fun league, the NFL finally loosened up and was like, okay, yeah, you can celebrate touchdowns. Like touchdowns are cool. Fans love touchdowns. And they eased the restrictions. Because remember in the Chad Ochocinco era when the battle between Goodell and Ochocinco and then Joe Horn got in on it. Remember him and his cell phone? And they were like, no more props. You guys can't use props. No more coordinated dances. 2 hip thrusts, fine. 3, no, that's a flag. And then finally, the commissioner realized, like, nobody's getting hurt here. It's all for entertainment. If the fans are turned off by it, the players won't do it anymore. And they finally eased up on the celebrating. Now, in college football, it has always been the absolute no fun league. Everything from, obviously, clearly you can't spike the ball. Never could. The Big 12 used to put in the penalty if you did the horns down. I think the SEC was like, no, you're going to be able to do that. We don't care about that. But there were always very, very strict rules in what is and isn't allowed when celebrating in college football. You know, you're playing an unbelievably emotional game. And then you get these stuffy middle-aged dudes and men and women, but all stuffy officials. Because you see it every time. Guy will score a touchdown. He's going crazy. And what's the first thing that happens? Some stick-in-the-mud referee comes running over. Hey, whoa, hey, back to the sidelines. Back. You see it every time. Brendan, Colorado was doing some dirty dancing in the end zone last night. And as much as I'd like to criticize Colorado, I'm kind of here for it. I'm here for some more fun. Now, I don't know about having full-on NFL spiking the ball celebrations, but I want, now that the players are able to get paid, and I don't know if this is a conscious decision or a subconscious decision, but you know the players can get paid. You get into the end zone, you have an unbelievable spotlight on you on that moment. I mean, think about the amount of eyeballs are on you. You're a Big Ten, you're an SEC, you're a big-time college football. Heck, you're an Oregon State Beef who's playing on the CW, and you score a touchdown, and boom, camera is right in on you. For about 4 or 5 seconds, you are the only thing on an entire network coast to coast. That's some pretty valuable stuff right there. That's in an era where popularity and followers and influence and everything not only can help you from a popularity standpoint, but from a financial standpoint, I wonder if the NCAA or these particular conferences are easing up. Or, here's my other theory. I think the officials were just afraid to throw flags on Colorado last night, to be perfectly honest.
Can we talk about that? I believe it was on that drive, Colorado's last drive. I've seen that play where they got the pass interference on the.
Yes.
I'll say this. I know the announcers were like, "Oh, obvious call there." I've seen that not called. The kid did turn around and got one of his hands up. And I looked at that, and before Shadur then went and threw incomplete on first down and gave him a
because that
chance.
had won the game right there.
Right, because I looked at that penalty, I go, okay, the officials just gave Colorado the game, which, imagine if they'd stopped them there, Justin, and North Dakota State had over a minute to make some noise. I thought that flag shouldn't have been called right there, but hey, they weren't going to let Prime lose.
But I saw the catch that Travis Hunter made when I want to say it was his second touchdown. His first touchdown was like, you're really going to go one-on-one North Dakota guy against Travis Hunter out on the edge. Maybe you might want to pull a safety over a little bit. That's the biggest weapon in college football right there. But I think it was the second touchdown. Defender was all over him. Travis Hunter makes an unbelievable catch. Gets up, spins the ball, which I've seen players get flagged for less. Does the ball spin, which is still cool. And right into a coordinated dance celebration, which again, I don't have a problem with. Like I said, emotional game. Let the kids have some fun. You worried about taunting or you're worried about the other team? Well, stop them. You were right there to defend them. But it was very interesting that the crew last night was very hesitant, I think, to throw certain flags. There were a couple of late hits because you watch Saturday football versus Sunday football. Sunday football, unless it's a quarterback, Sunday football, they give you the benefit of the doubt on that sideline. Most of the time, defender can hit a guy, and it's like, hey, it's bang bang. We're not going to throw a flag. Saturday football, college football, you are even sniffing the sideline, and you hit somebody. There's that 15-yard penalty. Shiloh Sanders hit a guy right into the wall a couple of times. Finally got busted for unnecessary roughness, but yeah, I thought they were being very lenient, and so I don't know if that is just a Colorado intimidation thing because nobody wants to throw the flags against Colorado because I think these officials know ultimately what's going to come down on them if they do, or are we maybe seeing a different tactic in the world of college football? Because these guys are pros now. They're pros. Not all of them, but most of them. And I would imagine that 4 or 5 seconds after you make a play and the entire country is watching you, maybe do a little dance. I'm all for it. Let's have some fun. Let's don't taunt, but let's have some fun. And I don't know if that was a Colorado thing last night or if that was maybe a new trend coming down the pike. Now, I'm sure there are some grumpy old men, which I am a grumpy old man on some things. I'm sure there's some grumpy old men who are going to be like, act like you've been there before. Let me ask you this. If anybody who's ever said act like you've been there before, I guarantee you has never scored a touchdown in their life. I'll guarantee it. I don't know much in life, but I'll tell you this. Anybody that says act like you've been there before ain't never been there because it's awesome. Scoring touchdowns is fun. Should be able to celebrate. But I noticed a lot more celebrating last night. You know who else is going to be celebrating? Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers. Our long National Football League nightmare is over. Fantasy football player or fantasy football GMs, owners, I guess, governors. I don't know what you guys call yourselves.
It's still politically correct for us to be owners.
Are you? Okay, well, because they're not real. You're technically owning numbers, and I guess you could do
I said
that.
it's still politically correct in fantasy terms.
But that could have been a real They say it in cricket, a sticky wicket or a real wrench in the system because everybody had to, like you had to run your fantasy football draft this last week, right? There's like a sweet spot, correct? You don't want to do it too early because you do it too early, somebody gets hurt in preseason. And obviously you don't want to do it on a Labor Day weekend. Everybody's got plans. Because there's always like that one guy in the fantasy foot who's like, I can't, I'm kids, got a soccer tournament or something. So like this last week was the sweet spot, but the one last, because CeeDee Lamb signed, I think Jamar Chase is going to be fine. I think he's going to play. And
we'll see, won't we?
Ayuk is the only guy that was out there that could have really thrown a wrench into some plans. Either A, if you had him with the 49ers, or B, as Brendan has George Pickens with the Steelers, and if the Steelers would have made a trade and then Ayuk maybe becomes the number one receiver, because I'll tell you what, Russell Wilson would have thrown to him every single time.
You should have seen me doing my happy dance yesterday, Justin, when this news broke, and it was like there were so many memes like George Pickens fantasy owners right now just and it's like that was me doing the shuffle yesterday. I'm like, all right, sweet man, no one else to gobble up targets and Pitt, man. Justin, you're gonna have a. It's funny for a very I in no way intended this. I know you're a diehard Steeler fan.
Yes.
Because I have a couple Steelers, I will be pulling for them this year.
Go, boys.
So, yeah, you added one fake fan for at least a few weeks. So
yeah, until Russell proves once again that he's maybe cooked, and you just completely and you start coming on the show. You're like, I think we should lead with the Steelers. I'm like,
I know.
What are you talking about?
I'll come in just like, you want to talk Steelers? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. I have some thoughts. It's like, wait a minute, where did you come from? Again, I talk about culture all the time. Culture is important. The culture of the NFL, like, you want to know how the NFL got to be the big bad bully on the block in sports, where we talk about don't ever test them, right? NASCAR, Daytona 500's that day. No, it's not. Super Bowl's that day. Hey, we're the NBA. We play on Christmas Day. Not anymore, kids. We do. Hope you enjoyed it. Hey, Black Friday, that's usually a college football day. Not anymore. Everybody's going to watch the NFL. There's a lot of reasons why, fantasy football being one of them. The other reason why the NFL is as big and as strong as it is, parity. You can literally, with a good draft and a good offseason, can go from the outhouse to the penthouse. The Houston Texans did it last year. You can. But the other thing is,
that's got to be that got to be a small town saying, right?
The outhouse to the penthouse?
Yeah.
I think it's more old time than
old
small
time.
town.
Because I remember hearing that in a lot of different verbiages growing up, Justin. It's like, oh, we're out fishing. Grandpa goes, well, it only takes one bite to go outhouse to penthouse. I've heard that saying so many times.
Grandfather is a wise man.
He is.
It is a wise phrase.
Yeah, just like it strikes me as one that I've heard that phrase a lot in various different contexts growing up.
Well, and in the NFL, you can go from the outhouse to the penthouse in reverse. Some may say rags to riches. I prefer outhouse to penthouse.
So, like, what happened? Do you think like somebody got rich and they're like, "Hey, hun, we can actually get a house, so I don't have to go outside and go to the bathroom anymore." Like, do you think that's where that saying came from? I mean, it's like getting rich?
I think it kind of speaks for itself. I don't know if there's a hidden meaning. Is the outhouse is full of and the penthouse is very clean. Anywho, but the whole Brandon Ayuk thing, when I talk about the culture of the NFL, he requested a trade, essentially told his team, I'm not happy, kick rocks, and the team goes, you're fine. This is the deal. This is the number. We're not trading you. You're healthy now. You don't want to practice? $40-some thousand a day. Or do you want to come back at this very, very nice, attractive number? And he's back. And no hard feelings. Water under the bridge. It's just business. It's not personal. And 49ers are going to be fine. It doesn't work like that in the NBA. You request a trade, all of a sudden it's like, oh, boy, there's disgruntled. Like, you saw it with Kevin Durant. You request a trade, it's like, we got to trade him because they're not happy. All right. You know what does make me happy? Make or miss. We got that coming up next on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, 1 hour from now, Cam Mellor is going to be joining the program. Get his thoughts on Oregon's upcoming season, Oregon State's upcoming season. Can't remember where I heard it. Might have been Yogi Roth. I think I might have been listening to Yogi Roth's podcast, which, by the way, Option Y, very good. If you love college football and if you still have, like I do, a soft spot for the old Pac-10/12, I would highly recommend Yogi Roth's podcast. But
he's commentating for other teams now.
He is. You got to have a job. You got to have a job.
Not covering the Beavs and Cougs anymore. So
but
I love Yogi, but
to his credit, he said that he believes, and I'm curious to see how it does work out, if Oregon State and Washington State have successful seasons, does the college football world rally around it? Because I think most people, while getting excited about the expanded playoff, I think most non-casual fans were adamantly against the Pac-12 being broken up. Like, most non-casual fans wanted the Pac-12 to somehow, some way stay intact. Now, I'm not talking about administrators. I'm not talking about the bean counters, and I'm not talking about the corporate entities. They all wanted it to burn. I'm talking about fans, the people that spend their money. Do Wazoo and Oregon State become America's team? I don't know. You think about, if they both have successful seasons, and I guess it's all going to come down to, I think, College Game Day. Do they give them any love? Do they pay any attention? But I think they could.
I think they didn't before, so it's hard to think that they will now. Again, Justin, you have to realize almost every, I'd say 85 to 90% of Oregon State and Washington State fans in this instance are cynics. We're been burned too many times. Yeah, and I'm like,
save us we're America's team now.
Yeah, I'm like, we don't want to be connected to y'all anymore. There's hard feelings, man, really hard feelings, and. I think Washington State or Oregon State are like, we don't need your press. We're just going to do our thing since that's what you guys wanted us to do anyway by leaving us alone. So,
here's my point. Every year, whether it was Cincinnati a couple of years ago, it was kind of JMU last year. Sorry. But it was kind of JMU last year. It was App State a couple of times. Every year there is a non-power team that kind of becomes America's, their darling. Do you know what I mean? And if the Beavs and the Cougs have a good season, it could be one of them. And I know you may still be in a place where save it, save us your pity, all that stuff. But it could matter. It got Cincinnati into the Big 12. It also got Kurt Signetti a job in the Big 10. But JMU last year. Wasn't it App State the year before? Remember App State? And they had that Hail Mary victory. Luke Combs was at College Game Day. It was Cincinnati. Coastal Carolina. It was Coastal Carolina during the COVID year because, they were in South Carolina and they didn't care about COVID. So they're like, we'll play anybody. And they're like, that must be nice. There's always that one team. And I think whether they want to or not, Oregon State and Washington State's path, they lie together. And I think I saw a game day in Dublin. Brennan, I think I saw a Beavs flag with old Crimson. Yep. And is there going to be a solidarity in the game day flag
Beavers
whole
and
thing?
They're traveling together this year. I know of the people who are.
Oh, you know the people?
Know of them that are going off doing that. So that's great because Crimson have been flying forever. I'm glad Oregon State linked up and they're going to do it together because, as far as I'm concerned, to your point, Justin, I'm still not ready to excuse game day for not coming to Corvallis against Washington last year. Like you said, chose James Madison. So, it's kind of us against the world.
We got Idaho State to beat up on tomorrow. So there you go. We got that. What were you saying? San Diego State's got a good quarterback now?
They do. Yeah, I forget.
My apologies. I know a lot of college football. I was not paying attention to the day-to-day roster moves of San Diego State.
No, I forget what his name is off. Danny O'Neal, which is kind of ironic, right?
Danny O'Neal.
Yeah, kind of ironic.
That guy won the Pac-10 in 1994.
Yeah, just took 30 years off his life, man. He's back. No, but yeah, apparently, they named him the starter as I think a true freshman. So
I will say this:
we'll see.
Danny O'Neal, former Oregon quarterback. Maybe the nicest human being I've ever been around.
High praise.
Seriously, you know how you get around people who are nice and you're like, all right, what's your deal? Like, what's your agenda? What's your angle? What's your angle? And I got around him a handful of times, played golf with him once. I'm like, this is the nicest human being alive. He has no angle. He's genuinely that nice. And I'm like, good for you. All right, all that being said, let's dive into Make or Miss. Here we go.
All right, firing up Make or Miss today, Justin. Dion's Captain Graybeard isn't a look.
It's an interesting look. It's an interesting choice. Going with the gray beard.
Add about 10 years of your life to you. There, Dion, you look.
You don't think it looks like distinguished? You don't think it looks like professorial a little bit?
Like, again, my opinion is just that mine, but I turn that on, I go, oh wow, Dion, you look really old. So yeah, it's not didn't look good for me. Didn't look good for it.
If they go 5-7. If they go 5-7 this year, which is where I think I got them at 5-7. We've done the Colorado schedule talk before, but if they go 5-7, or let's just say they go 4-8, because I don't think they're going to beat Nebraska. I don't think they're going to beat Kansas State. I don't think they're going to win at Arizona. I don't think they're going to beat Utah. I don't think they're going to win at Kansas. I don't think they're going to beat Oklahoma State. There's 6 losses right there. And there's a Baylor in there. There's a Cincinnati in there. If they go 5-7 again, everybody in Boulder is bought in. They love Coach Prime right now because they get more eyeballs than anybody in college football. Truly more eyeballs than anybody in college football. Colorado, they've sucked me into their vortex because I keep talking about them. 4-8 to 5-7. Shedeur and Travis Hunter gone. How long's Dion in Colorado for? Is he there next year? I think he stays one more year because I think he wants to try to prove that he doesn't need Shedeur and Travis Hunter. I don't know. They go 5-7. Does he bail? Do they do a mutual, hey, we tried it, and you go your way, I'll go mine?
Not after 2 years, I don't think. They'd have to win. The only way he would leave is if he won. Because if, say, they won 8-9 games and, an SEC job that was down, just going to use, Vanderbilt as an example, South Carolina, another team in the SEC who's down right now.
Well, Florida.
Yeah.
Florida's going to have an opening.
I mean, I'll tell you this, Justin. I knew from the moment that I talked to him in Vegas 3 years ago, Billy Napier is a fraud.
Whoa, you called fraud?
They were not good then. And it's like, I'm sorry, if you can't come into Florida and win more than 6 games with the talent they just have going year to year. Justin, how many guys just go to Florida business? Florida.
I know.
A lot. But that being said, yeah, you're right. Billy Napier's on the hot seat this year. Maybe he turns it around and makes me have egg on the face, but I don't see it.
Okay. We're doing it. Let's do it. Because I think Florida has a brutal schedule. I mean, they open up with Miami tomorrow. So they're playing Miami tomorrow. And I'm not a Cristobal hater, but I'm also, I had my issues with Cristobal in Eugene when he was here, It's like, dude, you have Justin Herbert as your quarterback. What are we doing running on first down? But I'm not a Cristobal hater. Cristobal left. Best thing to happen to Oregon because you got Dan Lanning. Wouldn't want him even if we could. That being said, Florida this year, Miami non-conference. Where's that game at? I think it's at the Swamp. Yes. Okay, so you get Miami, but you're at home. Cupcake game against Samford. Texas A&M at home. At Mississippi State. They stink. You got to go to Tennessee.
There's another one, Mississippi State. Like, who's their head, right? So, especially as Ole Miss gets better, you're telling me Mississippi State...
Mississippi State just hired a guy? Or the...
Might have.
Because 2 years ago, remember, Mike Leach tragically died. They had an interim coach.
They gave him the boot.
I think so. I think they just hired a new guy.
I forget Mike Leach was there, man.
Yeah. But you got Texas A&M, who I think is going to be good. You got to go to Tennessee. Tennessee's going to be good. You got Georgia in the cocktail party. That's a neutral site game. And then you got to go to Texas. And then you still got to go to Florida State at the end of the season. Oh, and you have Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to be a touchdown favorite in that game. 5 losses at Florida. You're going.
And they went, 6-7 in year one with a 30-3 loss to Oregon State in the Las Vegas Bowl.
That didn't help. But again, does anybody care about, like, I mean, I guess you care about bowl games if you win.
I do. I know we've disagreed on this. I care a lot about bowl wins. Mostly because bowl wins when I'm there. Makes it a little more special.
I'm with you.
But no, so finishing with a losing record and losing to Oregon State, unacceptable for a Florida team.
Also,
unacceptable.
Here's the thing that Florida, like, it used to be this way, in the glorious early 2000s, where winning your territory or winning your region mattered, right? There was, back when Oregon State, Washington, and Washington State were all good in the early 2000s, you were in elementary school, but maybe even kindergarten. But there was a time when all 4 schools were really good. And boy, it was fun, but also it was dreadful because it was a dogfight when playing the Northwest teams. Florida, same thing. There's 3 schools in Florida. You don't want to be in third place. If you're in third place, you're fired. And you start with Miami and you end with Florida State. Well, if you're Florida and you are behind Miami and Florida State, you're fired.
Well, can we throw some respect on Florida Atlantic? Can we throw some respect on...
I'm saying programs that matter in the state of Florida.
UCF?
No, I don't think UCF matters.
And the better conference than Oregon State is currently.
But I'm talking about the state of Florida. I'm saying if you are a fan of Florida State, Miami, or Florida, you only compare yourself to the other 2. You don't compare yourself to Central Florida. You don't compare yourself to Florida Atlantic. You only compare yourself to the other 2. And if you're in third place, you're fired. So got Manny Diaz fired.
You don't think that UCF, even USF?
Here's what I'm saying. If I am a fan of Florida State, Florida, or Miami, I do not
doesn't bother you if
see them on my level at all.
If they're
There's a superiority that I have that they are not even on my level. I compare myself to the Gators and the Seminoles if I'm a Miami fan. And that's all that matters to me.
Doesn't bother, because I'm like, there have been some years, Justin, like, again, the year they claimed their national championship when UCF was the best team in Florida. So that happens from time to time. That's all I'm saying is, do you think that, you're saying it doesn't bother them if UCF is good?
If they get, real good over, a 10-year period, maybe. But, we're talking about 50, 60 years. Well, 40 years with Miami, 80s. 40 years of, who is the king of the mountain in what is considered the best football state. And now Texas may take some issue with that, but that's what I think. If I'm a Florida fan, now if you do fall below Central Florida, because it's Miami, Florida State's on the schedule. None of those other teams are on the schedule either. Anyways, what were we talking about? Dion. If there continues to be, because right now Colorado is going to be able to deal with all right, did our coach just ban a columnist? Did our coach just say he's not talking to CBS? Like, right now, it's still like they're still kind of in the fun stage of like, no, we got our coaches back. We are coach us against the world. Even Dion said, oh, there are a lot of people out there that want to see us take an L. It's like, I wonder why. Because you keep fighting everybody, but like you go 4-8 and 5-7. The people that have been there at Colorado for 15, 20, 25, 30 years that are going to get tired of fighting everybody and are going to get tired of having to explain the Coach Prime stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a mutual parting of the ways. It'd be crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised. Especially if they keep going through the transfer portal thing. All right, do we got one more?
And I realized you'd never answered the make or miss.
I don't mind the gray beard. I don't mind it. That's what is that, a miss?
As someone who I don't think I've ever seen with facial hair extended.
I shave once a week. I want to go cool guy stubble. I grew a beard when I got COVID and I was stuck inside. I can grow it. I don't like the way I look. I don't, the red, it got a little itchy too. Got a little bit itchy. And I know some people say, well, you got to get past the itchy part. I couldn't get past it. And I'm just going to say it. I work really hard to have a square jaw, and I'm going to let it pop. I'm going to let it pop. I'm not going to hide this jawline.
You're telling me that you actively
mm-hmm. Say it.
You actively measure your jawline. That's what you look for when you go out to work out and stuff, is like working on your jawline?
No. I look in the mirror and I go, that's a good jawline.
But do you do specific...
I used to have... Brendan, you don't understand. I used to have a big fat face.
Do you do specific exercises for your jaw?
No. Oh, but just if you are in shape and lean...
Yeah, I got
you.
You
get a nice little jawline.
I thought you were like, oh, I work on my jaw every day, Brendan. I'm like, okay.
Can I tell you something crazy? I don't. There are people that do.
Really?
Yeah. There's a thing... I've seen it on the internet where it's like a bite, and like it's like the toughest piece of gum you've ever, and like just
works on your jaw.
It works on your jaw. Some football people think it helps with the neck to stabilize it. I'm not that crazy. I'm just saying I used to have a fat face, and when I did, I grew out a goatee because I thought it hid my triple chin at the time. And now that I am in shape and I've got a nice little square jaw. Clean shave that bad boy. That's where I'm at. Dion's gray beard,
Yeah.
I don't mind it. He's old. How long you going with how long you rocking the beard?
I guess he's 57. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, he is old.
He's old. He's an old guy.
Yeah, he's old.
How's your beard going?
Oh, it's been the same for... I haven't been clean shaven since college, so I don't know what I look like.
You should give it a shot. You should give it a try.
Nope. Definitely not. It's like how I was...
You know what? You're just one try. Just clean shave it.
I did that. It's like having short hair. I was clean shaven and short hair for 21 years. Don't need to ever go back to it. Maybe if I ever had a picture or what, but even when I went to got wedding pictures, still got the beard in that picture too. So.
The beard's all right. I'm just saying, maybe just give it a try. Maybe just only goatee. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I know you didn't know me, Justin, but for 22 years of my life, I did not have facial hair. So it's like, we got a long way to catch up on the other side first.
Did you have to shave in high school? I did.
I didn't really have to start
I got the electric thing, and I hated it.
I didn't get facial hair really start to go until I got to college, like maybe a little like here, but then it was like, oh yeah, yep, you got to shave pretty consistently now. Because like our football coaches were like, no facial hair, they yell at us. That too. And it's like, all right, you got to. That too. I remember when get your hair off your ears and clean shaven. We are gentlemen on this team. I was like, all right. To close out, Justin, as we filibustered a little bit, but make or miss, the Twin Cities are in search of a new Pyrotechnic crew.
Yeah, that's a 100% make. Get that up on LinkedIn right now. Get that job up on Indeed. What else? What else you find job?
Yeah, Indeed. Just go with Indeed, man.
Craigslist. Pyrotechnic, Twin Cities area.
The greater Minneapolis, Twin Cities, Duluth area.
Must have to work Saturdays. All right. We have got stuff we saw on the internet next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up hour number 2 with stuff we saw on the internet. I have admitted multiple times I am addicted to the TikTok, but for all the joy that TikTok brings me, like, cooking videos, old school wrestling videos, country music concert videos, for all the joy that it brings me, there's also a dark side to whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram Reels, whether it's YouTube, or whatever else is. And that is, hey, there's a new trend going around. And it's, it was, whether it was a planking or, remember the Tide Pod Challenge? That was a fun deal. Remember when they had to lock up all the Tide Pods because all the idiot kids kept eating them and filming themselves doing it? What is the thing that, the dirty Coke that they drink now?
That's not like harmful to your health like
No,
a
it's
Tide
not.
Pod would be.
But it's something that I look at and go, that's weird. But it probably became a thing because of, I'm sure, of some social media influence. Well, I got a new one. So, Brendan, have you heard of Gator Wine? A terrible name, but apparently the latest beverage social media trend is taking a bottle of cheap red wine. This is defined as less than $12 a bottle, mixing it with specifically light blue Glacier Freeze Gatorade. And apparently it's going around and it's becoming a thing now, is the red wine and the Glacier Freeze. Now, I have said this multiple times. My first thought is ick. Gross, disgusting. Why? But then I also think back. Somebody had to be the first person to take a little bit of orange juice and put it in some champagne and call it a mimosa. Somebody had to be the first. And I wonder if at the time that person was ridiculed. I wonder if at the time somebody was like, whoa, why are you taking champagne and putting orange juice in it? And you're like, well, that's the cheap champagne. This orange juice just puts a little bit of a little kick to it. We'll have it in the morning because it's orange and we'll call it a mimosa. Somebody had to take juice and put it in red wine, and they called it in Spain, and they call it a sangria. You ever had sangria? It's delicious. It's so good. I am a fan. Somebody had to put peanut butter with jelly for the first time, and I don't know, maybe they took some ridicule because they're like, no, jam and jelly is just that, and that peanut butter, that's, no, put them together, see if it works. So, Brendan, how much would it cost me to get you to try Gator Wine?
Nothing. This is probably the way I would try one.
Oh, you would want to?
So.
Okay.
Because we had this conversation yesterday. Like, you give me a bottle of red wine, I'll probably hand it back to you.
Okay.
So
we'll get you now. But if I give you a bottle of red wine and a bottle of Glacier Freeze Gatorade.
Will we try it right here? Absolutely. You know it. I'd pour it up, and we get the reaction on YouTube, the whole 9 yards, man. So
okay,
I would do this. I'd be your guinea pig for this, Justin. Should we want to?
I am so glad, because there's no way I would want to do this.
Yeah, see, because you like wine and you're a wine connoisseur to an extent.
To an extent, I like to pretend.
But
I you know what I mean? I'm a poser, but I can pose enough.
But like, there's a quote here from somebody that commented like, it's kind of calming down the wine for people who don't drink wine. Like that sums up.
Like I said, I'm assuming it's like in the spirit of a mimosa or a sangria, right? Which is essentially, you take the champagne, you might see, now I put if I get the choice, like some places where you get a mimosa, they'll give you the bottle. Or when I'm making them at home, I put the tiniest little bit of orange juice in there. Like, if I had an eyedropper, I would use an eyedropper. It is solely to change the color to make it a breakfast drink. But I like champs because I'm a basic bee like that. If you don't, you throw a little bit more orange juice in there, sweeten it right up. Same thing with sangria. The Gator Wine. You got to find a new name for it, though. It reminds me of, remember when Michael Scott invented a screwdriver? I called it an orange vodka.
First time you put vodka and orange juice together, Michael, right?
Golden orange vodka. It's like, it's Gatorade and red wine. What are we going to call it? We got, like, you've got the mimosa, you've got the sangria. Those are great names. What are we going to call it? Gator wine.
So you were telling me, Justin, that there is wine can sometimes make its way to a college football game in very odd ways.
Yeah.
I've got access to Gatorade in the Research Stadium press box, like only Gatorade and water, but hey, still better than nothing, I guess.
So if you found yourself maybe a Glacier Freeze Gatorade up there, and then maybe the game gets out of hand tomorrow, right? Maybe you've got your story written by third quarter,
that's the plan,
and you're
baby.
like, I'm going to go. I know some peeps sitting out in the parking lot, and you go and you see a bottle of red wine. You go like, hey, real quick, give me that cup over there.
Freeze, I got in my backpack. I'd do it. I'd get some looks, but I'd do it.
I want to completely trash this. I really want to.
Understood. Yeah.
But like I sever screwdriver. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. You put rum, yeah, throw all that in there. What else do we have?
Coke.
Yeah, put it in there.
Exactly.
God, Long Island's are the worst. They're the absolute worst. I think I have a bartender for he's like, hate making them. It's like, first off, I got to grab every bottle, and I know that the person who's ordering it is going to be trouble.
Oh, it's just,
you know what I mean? It's like you come up and you order a Long Island iced tea. You're like, all right, first off, you're going to make me grab every bottle, and B, you're going to be trouble. I just know
it's hard to say what I would. I probably would still ride for Red Bull vodka, but man, Long Island's are tough to beat too.
I think they're disgusting. But you know what? You do you. Whatever you. But yeah, drunk person definitely at the end of the night. Like, what do we have left? I don't know. Mix it all together.
I mean,
throw some Coke in there.
I think to your point, Justin, the reason I like Long Island, it takes about 2 of them to really start feeling yourself.
2 is like bad things are going to start happening. If I go to, it's been a long time since I've ordered a Long Island, probably a decade or more. If I order a second, yeah, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if you can handle that.
Happen.
I don't know if you can handle the sugar, Justin.
Oh, I could. Nope, couldn't. I would be jacked up and probably in some sort of an aggressive mood. That's not a good place to be. I want to be in a mellow, happy mood. That's why I like drinking wine and margaritas. It's supposed to be in a mellow mood. All right. We've got hour number 3. Cam Mellor is going to be joining us. We got an RCM mailbag. Steph Curry just made a lot of money as well. What does that mean? We'll talk about all that and a whole lot more next. 620 Rip City Radio.
8 a.m. on a Friday, Brandon Ayuk will remain a San Francisco 49er after agreeing to a 4-year, $120 million extension that makes him one of the highest paid receivers in the NFL. Over in college football, Colorado holds off North Dakota State 31-26 as Shadur Sanders throws for nearly 500 yards. And elsewhere in college football, Cam Rising made his long-awaited return to the Utah Utes, throwing for 5 scores en route to a 49-zip win over Southern Utah. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we're going to catch up with Cam Mellor, talk everything college football. Don't miss it.
Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Friday. It is a feel-good Friday on the show. Vibes very high heading into a holiday weekend, heading into a football weekend. Obviously got 2 big games kicking off in Corvallis and in Eugene. By big, I mean it's the first one. And the first ones are always fun. Brendan, you prefer the let's take the situation of Oregon State out of it. Do you prefer the first game to be kind of a paycheck game, or do you prefer the, boy, let's get out of the gate, big time, huge atmosphere, kind of like Texas A&M's playing Nebraska or playing Notre Dame tomorrow, and Miami's playing Florida. You rather have the paycheck game?
Always. Like I said, nothing can go wrong typically in a paycheck game if you schedule correctly.
Mike Parker yesterday brought up some bad memories, though.
He did. I might have been the only time. Like, there have been probably less, on one hand, the amount of times that I had tears at Reser Stadium, 2013 Eastern Washington, that was one of them. So that was a really, really, really hard day. Again, your preseason 25, you are laughed at for the better. I mean, and again, all that to say, like, just not great vibes that year. Sacramento State, for what it's worth, was still worse. That was the other one.
But like you said, that year you kind of knew you were going to be bad.
Yeah, like
or
Eastern
Washington.
Washington.
I guess you thought. I don't know what.
Yeah, like I think the easier part with that is Eastern Washington went on to be one of the best teams in FCS. The year Sacramento State beat them, they
put a guy in the NFL who's one of the best receivers in the league, and then Vernon Adams he's still playing in Canada.
Oh yeah,
Canadian legend. If he was 4 inches taller, he'd be an NFL QB.
No, it's true. But no, yeah, the Sac State, they went 3-9 that year. So Oregon State's like, wait, one of Sacramento State's 3 wins was Oregon State in Reser.
Is that the worst? That's the worst one?
Worst game I've ever seen. Like, as far
as... Is that worst? Okay.
Or just worst result. Like,
remember, what about the Portland State game? Now, you won the Portland State game in 2017.
That would have probably taken the cake.
Because I think that was a really bad Portland State team, too.
It was. So, yeah, but no, Sac State...
Because, the year before, or 2 years earlier, Portland State beat Wazoo.
Yeah.
But that was a good Portland State team.
But, the Sacramento State game, Justin, they scored... Went for 2 and got it for the win. Like, it was so demoralizing. Yeah. It's like, all right, tie game, more overtime. Oh, nope, Sacramento State's just going to punch you right in your mouth, Oregon State. But nevertheless, no, I'd say I like the cupcake, and here's why, Justin. Shortly, I said, you remember 08-09 extremely well.
I do.
Oregon State, 1 game away from the Rose Bowl both those years. 2010 was a season that should have been better than it was for Oregon State, but the fact that they scheduled themselves, so they opened the season at Jerry's World against the Red Rocket and TCU.
Okay, yeah.
Opened the season 2010. Played them great. TCU was like number 5. They lost.
Were they Big 12 then, or were they still Mountain West TCU?
Still Mountain West TCU.
Still Mountain West TCU.
Yeah, and they were
Rose Bowl winners.
Yeah, oh yeah. And
Did they win the Rose? Yeah, they won. They beat Stanford in the Rose Bowl.
I think they lost by 9, but it was a real close game. But then 2 weeks later, you play at Boise State the year Kellen Moore goes undefeated with that group. And and for Oregon State, they went 5-7 that year. So it's like, in both those games you have to, in today's world, schedule yourself a couple wins, especially if you're like Oregon State. Mm-hmm. Justin, there's no benefit to playing. Like, Oregon now is that game. It's great. You get your one non-conference game that's probably going to be a pipe dream out there a little bit.
Well, here's all
but
right,
then you
here's-
need 2 wins, and
here's what I
Idaho
want-
State and San Diego State are definitely 2 wins.
Here's what I wonder though with the playoff, and I think it's going to be obviously incredibly tough for Oregon State. One, because to make the playoff, you got to go 11-1.
Hey, still 10% chance. I looked the other day, man.
I'm with you. Like, but you got to go
better than nothing.
You got to go 11-1, and you got to not get your doors blown off by Oregon. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I went back and looked, and I was thinking, like, remember last year, Washington on their way to the college football playoff, on their way to beating Oregon in Las Vegas. Do you remember that Apple Cup last year? It was a ball game. It came right down to the wire. Didn't have to kick a field goal at the end. Now, this is different. I still think there's a rivalry thing. Maybe in September it kills it. I don't know. There's just something mystical about when teams like that play each other. And maybe I'm picking and choosing and I'm going anecdotal instead of analytical, but I don't know. Too many games I've seen at that stadium for me to just write it off. But that being said, going back to what we were talking about with kind of being America's darlings, if Washington State or Oregon State goes into that game against the other, when's the Pac-2 championship?
Second to last week of the season.
Okay. Go into that with one loss, only loss being to Oregon, and Washington State comes in with their only loss being to Washington. The college football world is going to be paying attention to that game. Because I do think that the committee would give both Washington State or Oregon State maybe a benefit of the doubt. Now, I don't know. We'll see. But
it's one of those things where, too, like, Washington State, like, they were obviously worse than Oregon State last year, but they lost Cam Ward, right? They lost a ton of dudes in the offseason, too.
They did.
So, like, that's why I said, like, if Oregon State had a quarterback situation that I was more confident in, Justin, I'd probably sit here and say I could see them winning 10 or 11 games with the schedule I have. But the uncertainty of the quarterback, I'm settling in about 8 or 9 wins.
I don't think they're going to be favored in every game outside of Oregon, but I don't think they're going to be more than a touchdown dog.
Won't be favored
in any game that in the rest of the season, right?
3 games. Air Force is tricky. That game you could be a road underdog. You will be an underdog to Boise State, and you will be an underdog to Cal. Unless Cal just falls apart, but
Cal might fall apart.
I think they're gonna be a sneaky team this year, Justin. If you look at their schedule,
okay. You're calling Cal sneaky. I like it.
They got a really good quarterback transfer in the offseason. And if you look at Justin Wilcox, Justin, if Justin looks at Justin,
that's right. 541 guys, just just
a
couple of kids from Winston and Junction City, just in the college football world.
His biggest problem has always been the offensive side of the ball. And he now, in my opinion, has an elite quarterback and an elite running back. So I'm curious to see what his defensive mind can do in a ACC schedule where, Justin, you look at their schedule, you can work out 6, 7, 8 wins, and it's not that hard.
All right, but they got to go to Auburn.
Lost by 3 last year to Auburn, for what it's worth.
Hugh Freeze got Auburn, though. Like, I would... If I were to give a sneaky, I give it to Auburn. Okay. Watch out for the Auburn Tigers, because say what you will about Hugh Freeze, and I have said plenty about Hugh Freeze. A guy knows how to get talented players on his roster.
What if Cal goes and beats Florida State, man? What if Justin Wilcox is like, hey, DJU, I know you.
I just think you've got at Auburn, at Florida State, home against Miami. If Miami loses that game, Cristobal's in trouble. If Miami if Miami goes to Cal, Miami goes to Cal in what is that, week 5?
Yeah, it's cross country, but early.
Cristobal's in trouble, especially if they lose to Florida tomorrow. Yeah, getting back to the original question though, like I just at Autzen or even at Reeser, I've seen those I think. Oregon opened up with Wisconsin in 2001, and it was just – and Oregon had a really good team, obviously. Joey Harrington, the Billboard, that summer 2001. The Beavs were ranked number 1, too, that year. But Oregon came in and, like, now it helped that Wisconsin had, like, 5 guys suspended because of free shoes. Boy, what a quaint world we lived in back in 2001 where Wisconsin came into Autzen Stadium to take on, I believe, a top 10 team in Oregon, and they had, like, 5 starters down, including their starting running back, because they found out they got free shoes at a sneaker store. What a cute world we lived in back in 01. And then in 02, Oregon opened up the season with Mississippi State. I think they had their quarterback suspended because he got, like, snow tires. It's a very Mississippi State thing.
For going mudding?
I think so. I think he literally got suspended for getting new tires on his truck.
That's one of those that definitely, like, you think, like, all the time, people in the South go mudding. Justin, for how many country people sing about going mudding? It must be a big thing in the South.
Dude, it's outside of
our
Portland
bubble here.
and
I don't travel outside this little bubble very much.
Guys would come into school. So we had 2 parking lots.
Yeah.
We had 2 parking lots at Douglas High School. We had the paved parking lot, which is where the cars parked. And then we had the gravel parking lot that was conveniently by the metal shop, which is where the Hicks parked. And every once in a while, actually pretty much every Monday, some Hick would come in, and I say that as a term of endearment, and they would come in and was like, yep, they went mudding this weekend. Clearly did that.
I've only been, like, one time, but, man, it was fun the one time I did, man, back in high school.
Just spinning Brodies there in the mud. Anyways, I think I might be with you, though. Like, the cupcake game is for
just
the heart. You got to ease into it, and for, like, the heart and everything else.
Like, did you enjoy when Oregon went and played LSU?
See, I don't like the neutral site games to start the season.
Okay, yeah.
I don't like those. I'm just talking at Autzen. I do remember, like, that Wisconsin game was so fun. And now maybe I'm looking back with some rose-colored glasses or some green and yellow-colored glasses because they won the game. Because they did open up the season in 2004 against Indiana, and they lost, which was supposed to be a cupcake game. That's, like you talked about, some nightmare scenarios. That's the worst, is when you get into a game where you are supposed to be comfortable by the third quarter, and you're like, why are we in a ball game here? What is going on? Why are we in a ball game here?
That's 100% how I felt with Sacramento State, and that was a bad team. Like, again, respect to Colorado. Like, again, I say they aren't going to be very good this year. But, again, North Dakota State is expected to compete for the FCS championship.
Mm-hmm.
As is.
But Colorado fans don't, like, they don't know that.
Yeah, but, like.
They're like, well, I bet you they're like, why are we in a dogfight here?
And just like the differences of tiers, like Idaho, Justin, is a solid FCS program and a good measuring stick for Oregon. Idaho State, pretty terrible. If you flip that, Oregon might put 100 on on Idaho State, and Oregon State might have a little bit of an adventure with Idaho. So it's kind of, there are haves and have-nots even in FCS too.
It was interesting because I was watching these Oregon videos that they've been putting out with camp. They're, like, doing their own kind of hard knocks with Phil Dunphy.
Is that the team out west?
Yeah, that team out west. And they're kind of cool. I was like, hey, Hard Knocks works. Let's do our own. And let's get Phil Dunphy to do the voiceover.
He's available. He ain't doing much. He's just living off that Modern Family money, man.
That's got to be a nice
the syndication paychecks, Justin. They're on Modern Family's on every channel all the time.
Oregon's favored by 43.5 tomorrow. 43.5. And it was just interesting because, again, we talked about it yesterday from Oregon State. You have to treat every game like it is the most important game. Even in a 43.5 point spread, and I'm watching the behind the scenes, and Dan Lannon is like, all right, lock in. What do we know about Idaho? One of the best group of 5 teams. I was like, Coach, they ain't one of the best group of 5 teams. Like, they're a fine program. Don't get me wrong, but they are not one of the best group of 5 teams. But that's what you got to do. You got to keep everybody locked in, ready to go. We're going to keep everybody locked in as well as we continue our Football Friday. Cam Mellor, friend of the program, going to talk some college football next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, the college football appetizer is over from last night. The table is now fairly close to being set, and we have got a full slate of games tomorrow, including Oregon and Oregon State in Corvallis and in Eugene. And then we don't stop. We don't stop with college football until January, and we crown a champion in the new 12-team expanded playoff. Joining us now, the executive director of the College Football Network, friend of the program, Cam Mellor, back on the big show. Good morning, Cam. How we doing?
Great morning. College football's back. A full slate again tonight. Well, semi-full compared to last night, but a great weekend ahead of us if last night was any indicator.
All right, so real quick, though, because you threw me for a loop this morning. Did not expect to be thrown for a loop. Now, other than the TV show Seinfeld, the only thing I have maybe watched more was the movie Jurassic Park. I very much remember, I have said that for my generation, Jurassic Park is our Star Wars, right? People like in the 70s said, you don't know what Star Wars was until you saw it on the big screen. And I saw Jurassic Park on the big screen thinking, oh my God, they've made dinosaurs. It is my Jurassic Park. And I have seen it so many times that when I went to Hawaii with my wife this summer, I made her go on a sightseeing boat tour where we saw parts of the Jurassic Park set, and she unfortunately got seasick on the boat. She'll love that I brought that up. And then you threw me for a loop that I never realized that Newman's picture from when Kramer tried to make everyone more friendly in the apartment is the same photo as the badge from Jurassic Park. I am shocked and amazed, and you know what? Never thought I could learn anything new about either of those entities, and you did it today, Cam. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure to say that. I will say this. I grew up with, yes, Jurassic Park in that light, but also my older brother and I grew up watching Seinfeld as kids, and it did continued. And I didn't notice that until today either. My nickname is 99% with my friends because I know 99% of the lines from Seinfeld. That's why. That's my nickname among the group of friends. So I didn't know either until today, so I figured if I didn't know that it's the same picture used on the wall as his ID badge as Dennis Nedry, Dennis, they call him, right, in Jurassic Park, it blew me away. I'm happy to share with the world that I found that out, though.
Look at this workplace. Disgusting. Yeah, Nedry, he was, boy, what a, still get anxiety. Dude, the Dilophosaur, it's going to throw it right in your face. All right. Can't get on a Jurassic Park tangent right now or a Seinfeld tangent for you because we got to talk some college football. Let's go big picture, Cam. I've been talking about this throughout most of the summer. Now, I'm an Oregon homer. I lead with my heart when talking about the Oregon Ducks, and while they have got an incredible roster, even Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard both picked them to win the national championship on Saturday on College Game Day. There's still this weird part of me, Cam, that is like, is this team in Eugene really going to go into the Big Ten in year one, even with a great roster, and just run roughshod over this conference and not expect any hiccups? Because when you look at not the conference expansion we have seen this year, because it's insane, but in years past, there's always kind of been a hiccup, whether it's Nebraska going into the Big Ten or, some teams or even Utah coming into the Pac-12. Should I be anticipating maybe a potential Oregon hiccup somewhere along the lines in this Big Ten schedule?
Yes, you
Okay.
should.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive adjustment for what you're going to have to, I think, once you get to that schedule, the Big Ten schedule, you're going to have all those games. They all play the same amount of football. They're the same level of football. They're the same kind of football one way or another. It's very different from years past, obviously, for Oregon. What I do think here is the caveat is that you're going to have a potential two-loss team as your national champion. However, if they come from one of these conferences, if it's a team like Oregon or like an Ohio State that has the benefit of being one of the higher-ranked teams to start the season. So preseason rankings don't matter, but they do matter in this sense because we're going to think about what this team was to start the year and how they've then rebounded. I don't think there's that many hiccups as a two-loss team. I think maybe one loss you get by. But no, I think that this is a stacked team, but it is going to be a lot harder, I think, than than most people will say on the surface, at least once they get to Big Ten play.
I mean, it is fascinating because, like I said, Cam, I've been following Oregon football my entire life, and never did I think I would see a situation where you would lose not only a quarterback, but a quarterback that was in the Heisman Trophy presentation the year before, lose a running back, lose maybe the greatest receiver in the history of your program in Troy Franklin, go into a schedule where you have the two teams that played in the national title game both on the schedule, and they aren't your toughest game. And to think that you're going to go into that huge gauntlet and somehow come out smelling like a rose, it's just an unbelievable scenario that Oregon finds themselves in. Washington and Michigan are on the schedule, yet Ohio State is coming to Autzen. You're replacing Bo Nix. It's just unbelievable where we are in 2024.
It's a testament to the staying power, maybe, of what Oregon has built even over the past few years. I know it's still new to be. The Dan Lanning era is still technically new in the grand scheme of coaches and how long he's been there, but that's what he's been building, right? It was clear from day one, at least from the national outlook for him. It was clear day one. He knew what he wanted to build and how he wanted to build, and then that's shown with how he's been able to get the transfer portal players, get the recruits as well. It's not just, one recruiting season anymore. It's 365, and I think the staff he's built as well, and the way that the players just generally talk about the program. It's one of the few programs in the country that has staying power in a culture that is just complete change that is college football.
Cam Mellor of the College Football Network joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. You recently ranked every quarterback in college football. How's your inbox, by the way, since that ranking came out?
A lot of full.
But
a lot of pleasant people around the country, I'll say that.
Nobody was like, oh, you know what? I think you nailed it when you got my quarterback at 47. I think that's absolutely appropriate. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to let you know that. But I'm happy because you got my quarterback sitting at number 1. But this is where, it's kind of tough to kind of square this. How does Oklahoma let Dillon Gabriel go? Is this just obviously a new era of college football? You got a 5-star waiting in the wings. You can't afford to lose the younger player, so maybe you let Dillon Gabriel go. But to me, if Dillon Gabriel is so valuable to where you have him ranked as the number 1 quarterback in America, how does Oklahoma, first year going into the SEC, let that guy go?
It's tough. It's tough to understand, if I'm being completely honest. I don't get it. I guess in the long-term prognostication of the program itself, you want Jackson Arnold there for at least the next 2 seasons. And so you want to have him as your quarterback for 2025. So you probably have to let him play in the era of the transfer portal. So you have to maybe let go. So do you want 2 years of Jackson Arnold, or do you want 1 year of Dillon Gabriel and then find another stopgap? I think the way that they look at it probably is let's get our starters that we recruited, or let's start the recruits that we played, the high-level recruits, and showcase we can do that. It's maybe an antiquated and outdated level of college football, however. And honestly, I think that this Oklahoma program is in for a rude awakening when they get to the SEC play. I see potentially 6 losses on that schedule once they get to SEC play. So we'll see how it goes out for them and Coach Venables there.
All right, so having Dillon Gabriel sitting there at number 1, and this is the other thing, and you probably know more than I do, but I look back and think of adjusting to a new coordinator, adjusting to a new offense when it used to kind of mean something. And now with the transfer portal, with so many moving parts, and quite honestly, Cam, everybody seems to kind of run somewhat of the same kind of offense in college football, right? They all do the patty cake snap. They all seem to be going out of the shotgun. And while they're different, there's no more power eye and versus the veer versus the wishbone. It seems like everybody kind of runs some sort of the same offense. Does that help a guy like Dillon Gabriel, who's going now to his 3rd team in a totally new coordinator and a new environment? Because it seems as though that's not been discussed an awful lot of, like, is there going to be an adjustment period, or does everybody just kind of run the same offense?
Yeah, I think it's like a sort of a double effect here. Dillon Gabriel's done this before now. He's gone already and he's learned it. So it's not even he might come in more seasoned and ready to go than Bo Nix did 2 seasons ago when he had to learn the new system. And then obviously his 2nd year in the program, everything sort of clicked even more so. I think Gabriel's shown he already knows how to do it. A veteran, could be 2nd all time in passing yards if all comes to fruition. Honestly, if they play 16 games, he could be 1st all time in college career passing yards. This is a guy, if I'm going to trust one player in this transfer portal era to adjust to an offense quickly, it's going to be Dylan Gabriel. But yes, there is a simplicity to it. Also, the schemes that he's run, 1, 2, 3, from Orlando to Norman, now in Eugene, they are very similar, especially if you look at it nationally. Yes, a lot of them are different. Take out maybe the Army and the Navy and the Air Force offenses. They're all really similar, but those three specifically from UCF to Oklahoma, now in Oregon, they are even incredibly more similar as well. So yes, I'm trusting Gabriel, and I'm trusting Lanning and his staff to be able to acclimate him quickly as well.
Cam Mellor is the executive director of the College Football Network, joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. The preseason has both Oregon and Ohio State kind of sitting atop the Big Ten, and then after that, I think maybe Penn State might be the closest, and then there's a lot of teams that, Cam, are good but kind of have question marks. Michigan, right? New coach, new everything really, but they got a lot of talented players, especially on the defensive side. What's Wisconsin going to do in another year with Luke Fickell? I don't like having a Jed Fish coach team on the schedule in November. Really wish that game was earlier, but that's with Washington getting Will Rogers at quarterback, but I still believe Jed Fish is a really good coach. Who do you think is kind of that team in the Big Ten that maybe some people are kind of overlooking as all the focus is on Oregon and Ohio State?
It's tough. Those two are my teams. And then I see Penn State. I see maybe one loss on a Penn State schedule. So a one-loss Penn State team in the Big Ten championship game, that team sort of scares me. But also, what has James Franklin done that warrants me to believe he can coach a team in December and win a meaningful game? Not a whole lot. So honestly, to me, I go a little bit further down the list, and I say, what are we going to get from this USC team this year? Yeah. I know we saw strides after they fired Alex Grinch last year, and the defense maybe still is a few players away, but that offense, how easily they've substituted Miller Moss in at quarterback, and he threw for, 6 touchdowns and looked like the top recruit that he was coming out of Utah. I mean, that team right there, they're probably going to be a team that's able to score enough points to stay atop of most of these Big Ten teams on offense. It's just a matter of how many points are scored. So take the over in the USC games this year, but also I think that's your dark horse that I think you need to be worried about is that USC team.
Cam Mellor from the College Football Network joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. While we still have a day to kind of do ridiculous hypotheticals, I'm going to take advantage of these next couple of minutes to do ridiculous hypotheticals because once we start playing the games, those seem to kind of go out the window. But you're looking at the college football playoff, and you mentioned it, right? Oregon, Ohio State play each other. You got Penn State with a very favorable schedule. If one team of those three, and whether as Oregon or Ohio State, ends up running the table, not to say that gamesmanship won't be employed, but is it almost a more beneficial spot right now to be the number 3 team in the Big Ten as opposed to maybe being the number 2 team? Because if you're the number 3 team, you might be ranked number 5. You'll get maybe the 23rd ranked team in the country in that first round at home instead of playing in a championship game. Is it almost more beneficial being the number 3 team in either the SEC or the Big Ten when you look at the layout of this 12-team playoff?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's absolutely right now. Absolutely. Why? I mean, it's you outlined the scenarios, and unless we have those 12 people that are in the room come December, and they move that around to avoid those situations, to take away the gamesmanship away from wanting to be 3rd in the Big Ten or 3rd in the SEC at this point as well. But essentially, you get a bye week and you get a home playoff game against the easier matchup, and then ultimately you're then going to travel to, or you're going to play in the bowl game against the 4 seed most likely as well. So, I mean, at that point, absolutely everything behooves you. Not only the bye week, yes, sure, you don't win the Big Ten or to have the chance to win the Big Ten, but I'm sitting there with all the factors going toward me leading to success in December and then into the depths of January that you're going to have to get at that point. So as much as a bye week in the playoff game would help you as well, as one of the top 4 seeds, you're essentially getting a bye week against the playoff team no matter how it shakes out in both the Big Ten and the SEC this season if you're that 3rd seed. In seasons past, Cam, outside of the power conferences, there always seems to be kind of
a group of five darling of college football. Last year, it was JMU. I think it was App State. In the COVID year, it was Coastal Carolina. Going all the way back to, Cincinnati, when Cincinnati made their run to the college football playoff. And the reason I bring this up is because, obviously, Oregon State and Washington State, Pac-12 logo still on the field, by the way. Not going down without a fight. That lawsuit really helped. But I'm wondering if either one of those two programs that really got absolutely jobbed in this whole conference realignment thing has an above average or an incredible season. And I know Washington and Oregon are still both on their schedule. Is there any chance like the college football world kind of like takes a look and go, man, these teams really got screwed. We owe them a little bit more and become kind of one of those like a JMU or like a Cincinnati from a couple years ago?
Yeah, they'd have the world, us against the world mantra going into what would be college playoff ranking time. To me, they have a 12-game schedule to do so, obviously without the benefit of a championship game. And then with the Mountain West schedule, they have to win convincingly all of the games and run the table in order to be there, because then you'll look at them, unfortunately, in the same light of how quickly we all lost faith in JMU when they lost last season as well. As nice as their 10-0 start was, It was a national story until they weren't. And so I think that would be the same case with these as well, with both Oregon State and Washington State. They have to win 12 in a row here, and they have to win them all convincingly against what will be, obviously not Oregon and Washington on their schedules, but they have to win all of the games, essentially, in my opinion, to be considered as one of those darlings.
Cam Mellor from the College Football Network joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. When you look into the college football playoff, and I think we may have talked about this in the past, Cam, when they brought it up. Are we going to see maybe a shift in evaluation from the playoff committee? Because we've got 100 years of undefeated means everything, and with your one loss, it's who did you lose to, as opposed to who did you beat, which always kind of frustrated me as a college football fan. But I wonder, now that we have a 12-team playoff, and there is going to be so much more debate around 10, 11, 13, and 14, because 12 is going to be one of those group of five teams. Are we going to see a change in the way we kind of evaluate and look at seasons heading into a 12-team playoff, as opposed to the old way, which was, all right, who's undefeated and who has one loss?
Yes, I think we're going to get it this year as you're going to have all those same factors, I think. But also you're going to look at it as what we talked about at the top of the call, too. The hiccup. Was there a hiccup? Yeah. How did you respond after your loss in the season? Who did you lose to? And then how did you respond afterward? If you have teams that are on a level playing field, if Oregon loses to Ohio State at home, how did they respond? How did they react? And did they win the Big Ten at that point, which I still think is in play no matter what? And did they, ultimately lose? And then the same thing goes the other way. Oh, well, Ohio State beat Oregon in this scenario, and then they lose in the Big Ten title game as well. Were they competitive? What did they do after? And what did they do beforehand? I think the shift it's not quite monumental, maybe as monumental as it is going from 4 teams to 12. The shift in logic is not that big, but I do think that there is much more levels of nuance that we're going to see, not only in the committee, but also in the fans that want their team to be not 13th, ranked 12th, because that's still going to continue no matter where we are or how many teams we get to.
Yeah, Oregon has to play at Purdue on a Friday night after the Ohio State game. Don't love that, Cam. Don't love that scheduling from the Big Ten. Hopefully Purdue's not going to be very good, but going on the road on a Friday night on a short week after you play Ohio State and maybe the biggest game in Autzen Stadium history. Don't love that schedule. I've already started processing the dread.
A Friday night in West Lafayette, not easy to get to for those who've never been to Purdue. Have fun. But I do still have that, I think, right now as a very comfortable 24, 25-point game for the Ducks right now on paper. So we'll see.
All right, that helps. I've already got October anxiety, and we're not even into September yet. But it's exciting anxiety because college football is back 100%. We got a full slate of games. Hey, Cam, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Have a great season. We'll look forward to having you on again very soon.
My pleasure as always. Thanks for having me, and great season to you guys as well.
There you go. Cam Mellor, College Football Network. You can follow him on X or Twitter at Cam Mellor. And you can also follow at CFN365. That's College Football Network. We have got an RCM mailbag to wrap up the show next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up the big show. Get you ready to attack your Labor Day weekend. We got football games. We got barbecues. You doing barbecuing this weekend? You a little tailgating, a little sampling, a little tailgating?
No, like I said, I got my family's all coming down to the game, so we got kind of specific scheschedules and driving down and
I know
all
you're
that.
hitting Papa's Pizza on the way home.
We
though.
are. So
Hitting up
yeah,
Papa's Pizza.
no.
Very excited about that.
Oh, I know. That's they actually have a salad bar, so I'm actually thrilled about that too.
Wait a minute. So, of all the things with Papa's Pizza and their delicious pizza that you can get, you're pumped for the salad bar?
Dude, I love a good salad bar, and they don't exist here in the Pacific Northwest.
All right, what makes it? All right, let's open up the mailbag real quick because I'm now curious. Here we go. Let's RCM mailbag it. All right, here we go. Reverse mailbag. Brendan, give me your top 3 must-haves to make a great salad bar. Top 3 must-haves.
Good ranch.
Good, okay. Do you find it tough because salad dressing you don't know until you're deep into your salad?
Oh,
if it's good. Do you taste
I
test it?
scoop a little bit onto my plate and taste it before every time. Every time.
If
I don't know it.
If the ranch is not good, what do you go
Caesar.
with? Caesar's.
I'd alternate to Caesar.
I love Caesar.
Yeah,
Caesar dressing so much.
You know this about me, Justin. I'm kind of sometimes a plain person when it comes to food, so it shouldn't surprise you that I like the salad that has lettuce, cheese,
boom,
and cracked pepper. I think that's all the Caesars and croutons. Caesars are the simplest.
Caesar salad is so good.
Yeah,
though.
simple but great.
It's
right?
so good. You ever get a tableside Caesar salad?
Oh yeah.
Where they do the whole thing and they.
Yeah, it's probably the weirdest thing about me because I don't like a whole lot of other greens, Justin. Like, for instance, we had broccoli in our house last night. I did not eat it.
Oh, broccoli's good.
I
had broccoli last night.
Salad's my green that I ride for. That's kind of it. Not broccoli, not Brussels sprouts.
Okay, so good ranch, absolute must-have. What else is in there? Where you show up
mix.
and you.
It's good salad mix. So not just
not
chopped
just
romaine,
iceberg.
but has
the spring mix in it.
What do you call it? The carrot pieces, the
some
cabbage. Yeah.
Cabbage.
A good mix.
What about maybe some spinach or arugula?
Totally fine. Totally
Cool.
fine. Yeah, I ride for all that, and then, oh gosh, I appreciate you as a salad bar if you have things that you wouldn't think would fit in a salad bar.
That's what I'm saying.
Peaches.
Okay. Now we're talking.
Ambrosia.
Yeah, not a fan, but you do you.
Whatever the Jello salad is, anything sweet that I can then stick on the corner of that plate.
I gotcha.
Delicious.
Can I throw out? All right.
But yeah, Justin, this whole thing started because the Abby's in Newburgh, they took out their salad bar, and now you get these
what are we doing?
crummy pre-made salads where you're just like,
okay, Abby's basically
they had a
Abby's
great
salad when
bar.
they do the turkey and the ham, the cut up cold cuts.
Yeah, they used to do that.
I love that so much.
Yeah, last time I was there when they still had one.
You know what? You know what else I appreciate? A hard-boiled egg, cut up hard-boiled egg on a salad bar.
Can't say my go-to salad bars have had boiled eggs, but I've seen them on salads before.
But not just a full one, but they cut them up.
Yeah, sliced. Yeah.
Throw those on, and then basically I'm making a chef salad is what I'm making, and I want bacon. I want bacon somehow, some way, whether it's bacon bits, homemade bacon bits, or even if it's just the little shaker. Give me some bacon bits.
Yeah, hot take. It's a hot take Friday. Outside of a chicken Caesar,
we didn't do hot take Friday, did we?
And we didn't.
I'm so pumped for football. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I missed it.
I don't think.
We also got Gator wine. We learned about Gator wine.
I don't think that meat really belongs on a salad, other than
that is a hot take because I disagree.
Grilled chicken. You could sell me on two things. You could sell me on a grilled chicken Caesar because those two go hand in hand, like American and apple pie. Second would be crab salad. People who put crab on, I think it's crab Louis, I think is what it's called. And you get
you got me. I've never had that. I would.
Yeah, like that. You get the crab, the little bay shrimp on top of a Caesar typically.
Mm-hmm.
But when you said turkey on a salad,
oh, I love it. Oh, I
gives
love
me the
it.
willies.
I love it. Abby's that's the Abby signature.
Skip those 2 containers every time.
Where are you on corn? Corn belong on a salad? Because, like, you'll go there to the salad bar, and it'll have corn. Some people put it on the side. Some people just go and mix it right in.
Yeah,
Make almost a Southwest salad.
Yeah, not my favorite, but I wouldn't not eat it. I like corn. But I'm not a big corn on the cob guy because, Justin, I don't like having to use a floss picker for the next 10, 15. So I'm that guy that, like, at home, when we make corn on the cob, I'm cutting it off. So it's like, of
course you are.
I don't like.
Of course you are.
You like picking corn stuff out of your teeth?
I don't care one way or the other. It's worth it. It is worth it to that delicious corn on the cob.
It tastes the same,
so
Justin. When
good.
It's cut.
You know what? I would challenge that. I would. I don't have any scientific evidence, but to me, it tastes better off the cob or straight from the cob. It's like pasta sauce. Taking a spoon out of the pot that's on the counter, it tastes better than if you pour it on the pasta. I can't explain why. It just is. Anyways, you got a mailbag for me?
Well, the problem with that, Justin, is I had a great one yesterday, and you and I both managed to forget it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of disappointing. But nevertheless, we do got a list here. Let's see. All right, you've let's do this. You've got a ticket to a one-way ticket to a country you'd like to visit. What would it be? Now, where you've been so far? No repeats.
I mean, Ireland's on the brain right now because I don't know. Like, Dublin looked awesome. It looked so awesome on Friday and Saturday.
I had some family members said it was a lot of fun.
Everybody, like ESPN was like all in on Dublin. And I don't know how much of the game you watched, but like they basically used the college football game as like, come visit Ireland. And it's like awesome golf courses. I'm going to go Ireland. Second place, probably Italy. We just talked about pasta sauce. Not Rome. Not really. Like, I'd love to see Rome in a day, but I want to get out to, like, the countryside. And I want to just learn enough Italian where I can sit and eat some pasta and drink some wine with some Italian people and just have a grand old time. Maybe some prosciutto or some gabagool. And they'll be like, okay, American. But, drink enough wine and eat enough pasta and just, make international friends. So I would put Ireland probably one. I think Italy would probably be second on that list. Maybe Spain. But only on the coast. I want to go to like the coast of Spain. No interest in France. Sorry, France.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time not going to Australia.
It's a long trip. All right. It's been a long journey. We've made it. We have made it to not only the end of the show, but the end of the week, and we have made it to college football. It is now here. I am so pumped. All right. Thanks to Cam Mellor from the College Football Network. Thanks to super producer Brendan. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific weekend. Have a great Labor Day. We'll be back on Tuesday here on 620 Rip City Radio.